Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
All of today's guests, including Ian Furness, standing by, brought to you by the Bayside Oceanfront Resort. Christmas is in the air at the Bayside this holiday season, which means there are deals to be had when staying now until February 29th. When you stay a minimum of 2 nights, weekends included, Rick, the Bayside wants to give you 25% off their best rate. Must call and book directly through the hotel. From everyone at the Bayside, they wish you and your loved ones, even your sister-in-law who's got the gun, a joyful holiday season. Call 250-248-8333 to book today as we bring in tough times, as we mentioned, in Seattle. From Seattle, KJR Sports Radio, Fox 13 Sports, Ian Furness. How are you, sir?
Gentlemen, happy Tuesday. Just real fast, if I could, shout out to Joey Kenward, who I worked with on WHL broadcast for a while. So stick taps to Joey. And saw the news. I know everybody in Vancouver did over the weekend. And go get him, Joey. Go get him. And we'll move on.
Yeah, and there's a GoFundMe page that's been set up by his sister, Allison. And for people who don't know, Joey made it public on the weekend. He's battling leukemia right now. And right with you, Ian, all the best to our friend, Joey Kenward. What's it like covering sports in Seattle these days? The Seahawks and the Kraken, not exactly setting the world on fire.
Yeah, it's and I don't think it was ever going to happen either, but not getting Shohei Ohtani for a major league market that, had, kind of the most iconic for a long time Japanese player. And I think there was a thought that maybe they were saving up for him as well. And so when that news broke that he's going to the Dodgers, shocking, to the Los Angeles Dodgers, that started out the weekend. And then, the Kraken losing 2 more back-to-back on Saturday, Sunday. They're now at 8 straight without a win. And then we add in, of course, our good friends, the Seahawks, who just can't find a way to get over the hump. Gauntlet of a schedule, but you still have to win some games if you want to find your way into the postseason.
Yeah, now they host Philadelphia on Monday. Yeah. They lose to the 49ers 28-16. Was this a lot of it anyway? I mean, 49ers are a very good football club, but the inability to stop the big play.
Yeah, it was odd, Donnie, because, and just talking to guys in the locker room after the game, they had some stops. They gave up that long run, 73-yard run on the first play of the game to McCaffrey. They score the next play, 2 plays, 75-yard drive. You're down 7-0. The Seahawks defense had kind of stepped up. They had 2 or 3 stops in a row, I think 2, 3 and outs, and all of a sudden they had a 10-7 lead, and you're thinking, okay, you're fine. But when the 49ers scored, and top of my head, I believe they had touchdown drives of 2 plays, 3 plays, 4 plays, and 5 plays in the game. Like just explosive offensive plays where you'd have a breakdown along the way. There's a couple guys you can look at specifically with some of those breakdowns. But then other times you'd say, wait a second, you're getting some stops, you're getting some sacks. Brock Purdy was under a little bit of pressure at times. He's a really good quarterback. They've got more playmakers in terms of an NFL team, I think, than anybody in terms of depth with, their tight end is elite in Kittle. And then, of course, you got McCaffrey, Ayuk, and Debo he's a video game. So, yeah, they've got a lot of weapons, and so you just have to be careful. And Seattle just gave up way too many. And in the end, the 49ers averaged, Donnie and Rick, they averaged 9.9 yards per play.
Huge.
And if you take out the 2 kneel downs at the end, it was actually over 10 yards per play.
Injuries updates, anything on Geno Smith? And now we hear Witherspoon hip pointer. They don't play till Monday, Eagles in town, but any injury updates on those guys?
Yeah, we won't get anything till later in the week because the Monday they kind of push everything back a day, so we'll find out. I mean, Drew Lock was not the problem. So if they got to go into that game against Philadelphia with Drew Lock, I think they feel actually surprisingly okay about that. But we'll find out later. Witherspoon is certainly hurt. I mean, when they were already without Trey Brown, another starting cornerback, and so you take him out, and then Witherspoon gets hurt, and then all of a sudden you're going far down the depth chart. That meant some other guys had to play nickel, and that's where you saw some of those big plays happen. So they need to get Trey Brown back. They're hoping to get Witherspoon back. It's just that time of the year. I mean, everyone's banged up. Test your depth as an NFL team, and Seattle's depth right now on the defense isn't very good. So we'll find out later in the week. But, Geno's obviously going to be the top of the list. I thought Drew Lock really kind of acquitted himself nicely. He played a really nice football game, made some plays against an elite defense. So they just got to find a way against Philadelphia, a team that, by the way, has kind of played the same schedule as Seattle. And if you look at the results, Seattle's actually played better in some of those games than Philadelphia has. They're scuffling right now.
What is wrong with your hockey team? 8 straight losses, 6 goals in the last 5 games. I know, Burakovsky, he comes back one game and he's out again.
Not even a game, Rick. Not even a game. A couple shifts or something. Yeah.
Matty Beniers, 24 goals last year, NHL Rookie of the Year. Now, what has he got? He's got 4. He's stuck at 4.
He's got 4.
Is it just the goal scoring that's the major issue right now?
Well, Matty's got 4 and doesn't have a goal in 6 games.
That's it.
His sophomore slump is killing him. I think the Burakovsky one is interesting because he didn't play last year the second half of the season. He got hurt in the first game after the All-Star break, and they still went 14 games deep into the postseason. So and it's readily apparent you can't count on this guy. He gets hurt. I mean, he's hurt all the time. Grubauer's now on the injured list as well. So they can't score. They're not. We've talked. It's kind of a broken record. We've talked about this before. They just aren't playing that same game they played last year. You look at the hits after a game, and they've got to be strong on the forecheck. They've got to really dislodge the puck at the other end, and they're not doing that right now. And I don't know if that's just you can't play that Hackstall style for 70 or for 82 games. Maybe it works in the postseason. Maybe that's part of it. That's a question we're all asking down here right now. Like, is this system, this structure that he has, is that workable for an 82 game regular season? And, last year they got on a couple of heaters. They had a long winning streak in November last year. They had a long one in January last year, and that kind of put them in a great position. They just can't. Scoring's an issue. Goaltending has been just okay, whether it's Grubauer or Decord. It hasn't been elite. It hasn't been good or great, I should say. It's just been okay. And, they're just missing something, guys. I don't know what it is. Hard to put your finger on it. I'm sure if they knew, they would figure it out. They've called up Riker Evans from Coachella Valley and try to give him a little bump on the back end offensively. But when you're doing things like that, I mean, they've made more moves with Coachella this past 3 weeks than they did all of last year probably. And wow. There's a reason guys are in the American League, right? I mean, you're not calling up guys that are going to come in and set the world on fire necessarily. I'm excited to see Riker and what he can do. I think he's going to be a really fun player over the years. But your veterans need to be better, and Beniers needs to be better. Eberle needs to be better. All those guys need to be better. I think that here's the thing. I would tell you in terms of when you watch the effort and you watch the want to and the try hard on this team, there are 2 guys that stick out every single night: McCann and Yanni Gord. I'd put Bjorkstrand kind of in that category too, maybe, but that's it. Like up front, you get Will Borgen's played well. Alexiak's taken a step back. Larson just is what he is every night. He's consistent as fine. But there's something missing with this team right now.
Hey, back to the Seahawks for a second. Pete Carroll, post-game, asked if his message is getting through to the players. I believe his response was, ask them. He seemed frustrated. Where is his level of frustration at right now?
I think you heard it in those tones because he's been he's always optimistic. And he's always a guy that's like, glass half full and things are fine. I wasn't in for Pete's thing. I was in the locker room and I can tell you the tone in there, from veteran leaders like Wagner and Jaron Reed and others I wouldn't go as far as to say there's finger pointing. I don't think there's truly finger pointing going on. But I would say that if you look around that locker room, and when you're listening to guys talk, there are a few passengers on the Seahawk train that are just not pulling their weight, and I think that's frustrating to a lot of the other guys out there. And they just got to figure it out. I mean, because here's the thing: sometimes you can look at it and go, well, offensively they're this, or defensively like they're this, and there's one or the other that costs you a game or a series of games. For this team, 1 week the offense is great, the next week the defense is, and then vice versa. So. A win over Philadelphia would cure a lot of ills. I think if you're doing the math, guys, they're going to have to win out. They're going to have to win their final 4 probably to get in the postseason because I don't think 9 wins. 9 wins got you in last year with 17-game schedule. I don't think 9 wins get you in this year.
Speaking of veteran leaders, it's lucky they have Jamal Adams. Ian, thanks for this. Appreciate. How did he play, by the way?
One word: yikes. And Beautiful. For those that don't know, you can look it up. It's there. So,
Thanks, Ian. Next week.
See ya. See ya, boys.